Today, it's all about Roswell, Georgia. I'm going to be doing a full vlog tour of the neighborhood. I'm going to talk about the things there are to do, the cost of living, crime, quality of schools, and so much more. And that's coming up right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to Living in Atlanta. This YouTube channel is all about what it's like to live, work, and play in the Atlanta area. My name is Mark Brenner. I'm a realtor here in Georgia, and my real estate team, the Living in Atlanta team, would love to hear from you. We make these videos so that we can hear and connect with all of you out there. So if you're thinking about relocating to Georgia, anywhere in the Atlanta area, or if you live in Georgia and you're looking to buy or sell a home, we would love to hear from you. You can book an appointment with me directly using the link in the description below. You can email, call, text, whatever you want to do, but don't hesitate to reach out. We help folks relocate and purchase and sell homes here all the time. We absolutely love it. All right, I'm really excited. We're going to do another full vlog neighborhood tour. Today, we're in Roswell, Georgia, which is one of the best suburbs of Atlanta. I've done tours of Grant Park and many in-town neighborhoods. Definitely check out my neighborhood vlog playlist if you haven't already. It's a great way to really get to know a part of town. So when we talk about some of Atlanta's best suburbs, you'll hear a lot of similar names, but what about Roswell? You hear about Roswell a little less, but it really is a great place to live for lots of different types of people. So I wanted to do a full tour. In this video, basically, I'm going to give you some great visuals of the town. We're going to look at some of the great nature that Roswell has to offer. So definitely stay tuned to the end for that. Now, I really like Roswell, and I think it's a fantastic option for families who want to be a reasonable distance from Atlanta, but they don't want to be right in the heart of the city. They want a family-oriented area that's safe, with good quality schools and lots of things to do. There's a lot to like about Roswell, and we're gonna get into all of that in this video. But first, like all of my neighborhood tour videos, I'm gonna pull up a map and point out exactly where we're talking about today, so that if you're not familiar with the area, you're not left confused. Let's take a look at where Roswell is in relation to Atlanta. So you see you have Atlanta here, the perimeter created by 285, and Roswell is just to the north. So Roswell is pretty big. So depending on where you're going in Atlanta, it could take you as little as 30 minutes to get inside of the perimeter, depending on where in Roswell you are and how much traffic there is. Talk later in the video. This is definitely a major traffic corridor. Roswell definitely gets the brunt of a lot of traffic in Atlanta. Now, another thing I'm going to mention is that Roswell is adjacent to a lot of other great neighborhoods. You see how close Alpharetta is, Johns Creek, Dunwoody's a nice area. Of course, you've got Marietta over here. So not only do you have great things to do in Roswell itself, but you can, of course, visit another close by neighborhood if there's something in that area that you really like. And one of the big amenities I'll discuss is the great nature in Roswell, specifically access to the Chattahoochee. Now, another thing people like to know is proximity to the airport. As you know, Hartsfield-Jackson is in the very southern tip of the perimeter in South Atlanta. So if you're commuting from the airport to Roswell, on average, it's going to be between an hour 15 to the airport. Now, another thing I'll point out in the video is one of the advantages of being on the north side of the city is simply a head start into the great nature in North Georgia. You certainly have a head start being in Roswell, as opposed to me, I'm in South Atlanta, and it's quite a hike up there. So this is where Roswell is. This is where we're talking about today. As you can see, very much a suburb of the city, and a nice balance between not so much city living, but definitely not too rural. It's really in that sweet spot between city and suburban vibe. So as you can see, it's located in a great spot. You have easy access to the city. And like I say, a lot of times with these northern Atlanta suburbs, you've got a great head start to North Georgia, the mountains, the vineyards, a lot of the best nature. So it really is a great location. You're really not going to run out of things to do in Roswell, Georgia. This is a suburb of Atlanta. So of course, like I said, about 45 minutes to the city. If you do want to do a date night, spend the day in the city, that's easy to do and get back home all in one day. It's also not too rural. There are actually some really good quality restaurants. So this is one of the better historic downtown areas. Most of these suburbs have them. Roswell is a really great downtown area. So you don't have to leave Roswell if you want to enjoy a great restaurant or just any of the normal amenities. Of course, you have the grocery stores, the retail shopping, all of that stuff, but you also have some local boutiques. In fact, quite a few independent, locally owned boutiques in the area for you to enjoy. There are also quite a few breweries around the downtown Roswell area if you're a big beer fan, and the nature is one of the strongest things that Roswell has going for it. So I'm over here by the Roswell Riverwalk, right off the Chattahoochee. One of the most common ways folks enjoy the river is to float the hooch in the section which is over in the Vinings area. If you want to float the hooch in the summertime with everyone else around the 4th of July, you're really close to Vinings to be able to do that and get back to Roswell. There's really not a lot of restrictions, at least at the public access points. Again, definitely living in Roswell, having close access, the nature reserve, there are a lot of great nature-related activities if you're living in Roswell. So in terms of the overall vibe in Roswell, it's definitely that very active. There is a lot of traffic. There's things to do. There's people hustling and bustling, but not quite as much in the city. This is a higher income area, so maybe for some people it'll feel a little bougie at times. But in my experience, interacting with people around here, they're usually very nice. The customer service is usually very good. Definitely a great suburban / city vibe here in Roswell. Let's talk real quick about diversity, because that is important for a lot of people. Just in terms of pure demographics, Roswell is about 74% white, 11% black, and 4% Asian. Now, I do get a lot of reach outs from clients, and one of their most important questions is, are there people like me? Will I feel comfortable in this area being who I am? Personally, as someone who's lived around here for quite a long time, I don't think any particular group needs to feel uncomfortable or apprehensive about living in this area. Remember, we're very close to the metropolitan area, so there's definitely a mix of people from both sides of the political spectrum, and in my experience, people are pretty good at respecting others without diving into these topics too frequently. As I said, it is more of a wealthy area, so you may get a few what we term Buckhead Bettys, but I really haven't had any experiences like that in my time, so I don't think that's something you really need to be too worried about. Now, if you do have a family, or, just like most of us, you're wondering, hey, what is the crime like in Roswell? Anything can happen in any area, but statistically, Roswell is a very safe area. There's a very active police force. So most of the suburbs in North Atlanta, you're not going to have to worry too much about crime outside of the normal awareness that you should have living near a city or just living in general. So speaking of kids and crime and families, some of you are probably wanting to know, hey, how are the schools? Are they highly rated schools if we live in Roswell? For the most part, they're rated pretty well. Most of Roswell is going to fall into the 7 to 10 range in terms of quality of the school. Now, another thing to remember on the topic of schools that some people don't realize when they are looking at living in Georgia is that private schools tend to be much cheaper than many other larger markets, and certainly many of the markets on either coast. Not to say that private school is not expensive or that it's an option for everybody, but maybe you're a person who really wants great schools. You didn't think private school was a good option because of the cost. You should definitely look into it further if you're moving to the Georgia area, because I've had a lot of clients surprised at how much more affordable private schooling in this area is. All right, so how are the schools in Roswell, Georgia? Now, generally speaking, when I help folks buy in this area and we look up the schools, most of them are going to be in the 7 to 10 grade range. Generally speaking, very good. Now, you can use some common websites to look at this information. I'm on Area Vibes right now, and you can see they give it a B+ overall rating. So this is helpful information, but a word of caution, similar to the topic of crime, figuring out if the schools are good in a certain area isn't always straightforward.
forward. It's very important that you speak with people in that specific area to get their opinion on the quality of the schools. It's not to say this information is not useful. You can see Roswell does have one of the highest concentrations of top-ranked public schools in Georgia. If you go on niche.com, it will show you the highest ranked schools in the Roswell area, free public options for you if they're available depending on the address that you live in. And just to give you guys a great resource so that you can research this yourself if you ever choose to do so, schoolgrades.georgia.gov is an official website of Georgia where they assign grades based on their criteria. So you see we have Roswell High School pulled up here. I just typed that in and it gives it a school letter grade of A. And the website will explain to you how they come up with that, what they look for. So if you're trying to figure out public schools in Roswell or really anywhere in Fulton County, here's what you do. So you've got another website, which is the Fulton County website. We're going to click agree, and then you've got all of Fulton County, and then you can type in an address here. I'll type in a Roswell address. And you see you have the assignment on the right here. You can see if you have this address, kids will go to Roswell North for elementary, Crabapple for middle, and Roswell High School for high school. You see Roswell High School has an A. So generally speaking, Roswell has pretty good public schools. It's not the absolute top, but they're pretty good. And I just gave you some additional resources. If you are looking at a particular address or location, now you have the tools to look up the state's official judgment of how good that school is. So hopefully that was helpful for you.
All right, so let's get more into the actual cost of living. So the median sales price of homes in Roswell is about $497,000. So if you're on a tight budget, but you want to be in Roswell, you can maybe find a 3-2 around 1,500 square foot in the mid 300s. It's not going to be updated, and in some cases, it might need quite a bit of work. Now, as you creep up into the mid 400s, you're going to get a much more move-in ready product. And once you get into the low and mid 500s, then you should see nice homes that have more of the updates will definitely become more prevalent in higher price points as you get into the mid 500s and low 600,000s. Once you're in the $600,000 to $700,000 range, you're going to have a big, beautiful house that is very updated. So depending on what your situation is, that may be a great budget for you. Now, if you're interested in living in an attached home like a condo or townhome, you can definitely do it for much cheaper than a detached home in Roswell. Of course, you do want to keep in mind with attached options that you're going to have an HOA, and in North Atlanta, including Roswell, the HOA can get quite high. So you definitely can live in Roswell in an attached home for cheaper, but you want to factor in the monthly HOA costs. All right, let's talk real quick about property taxes. Now, this is going to be highly dependent on the actual size, condition, and estimated value of your home by the county. But in general, at looking at homes and helping clients buy and sell here in Roswell, I would say the most common range is about $2,900 to $4,500. And as always, just to give you an example for how far your dollar can go and the actual architectural style, I'm going to do a home tour of something that's for sale in the Roswell market right now. All right, so what is not good about living in Roswell, Georgia? I'm going to try to include this segment in videos going forward. I know a lot of you tell me you appreciate my honesty, and I try to balance being honest with not being too negative. So if you forced me to say what the worst things about living in Roswell, honestly, it would be pretty difficult. There's no major cons in my mind, except for one, and that would be the traffic. Now, traffic is notoriously bad around the Atlanta area, and it's not the worst in Roswell, but it is one of the worst, I would say. The thing that makes Roswell a little worse is because of how bustling, how many things there are to do, and its size, there's a lot of traffic within Roswell itself. If you're trying to get from point A to point B, it can take a lot longer than you might think. So, if traffic drives you nuts, if you're looking to be in a place where you're a little further out and don't have to deal with it, Roswell probably isn't the place for you. But other than, some really bad traffic at times and maybe the prohibitive cost of living here, really can't think of any other major negative of living in Roswell. So who is Roswell for? What type of person should or would want to be interested in living or moving their family to Roswell, Georgia? Well, of course, there's no one size fits all. Everyone's welcome in Roswell. But if you wanted me to assign a recommendation, I would definitely say it's a bit more family oriented. Obviously, in most instances, you may need a little bit higher of a budget. So maybe if you're a first-time home buyer, Roswell's not the first place you look. Although I actually have helped first-time home buyers in Roswell. So if any of those descriptions sound like they would work well for you or your family, definitely check out Roswell, Georgia. If you're interested in learning more about it, getting some home tours, just connecting about what neighborhood would work for you or your family, again, reach out to me. That's why we make these videos. You can book an appointment with me today, or you can call or text, whatever you're comfortable with. We love helping people. We love helping families. We're big fans of the Atlanta area and a lot of the surrounding neighborhoods. So really hope you enjoyed that video. Hoped it helped you to make some decisions for yourself and for your family. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.